Joining me are Sky News presenter James Macpherson of The Late Debate here on Sky at 10 p.m. and Sky News contributor Daisy Cousins, who also has her own YouTube channel. Look, thank you to you both for coming. James, you used to be a pastor. Let me start with this. Before the break, I talked to that Christian historian, Steve Trevura, who's saying that churches are wrong to back the voice. Did you agree with him?
Yeah, I thought he spoke very clearly and was quite brilliant. The trouble for Christians is the promise of reconciliation, and immediately Christians lean in because, of course, as Stephen described earlier, reconciliation is a Bible concept, that we are reconciled to God and we're to reconcile others to God. So the moment Christians hear reconciliation, we immediately think, oh, this is a good thing, but that's about the extent of the thinking. Andrew, I was at a church some months ago and they had an Indigenous leader talking about this issue, and he said to the congregation, we need to support this because it's about reconciliation. Reconciliation is a Bible word, therefore we need to be on board. And everybody applauded. It was the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. No conversation as to what does reconciliation mean in this instance? Is it possible? Is it possible without forgiveness? And as you pointed out just earlier, is it possible to reconcile people by dividing them according to race? And so it's a bit like the same-sex marriage debate, where many Christians supported it because we were told it's all about love. And Christians said, well, God is love, and if it's the debate is about love, then we should support that. And so I think Christians need to think a bit more deeply about these things rather than just grabbing onto words and saying, well, we're familiar with that word, therefore we should support the issue.
But I'm just struck, Daisy, by how distorted the debate is. Let me choose a polite word, particularly from the media left. Particularly when it comes to race politics as well. You know, that's one issue where it doesn't seem to be able to tell things as they are. That Crikey can still refer to Bruce Pascoe as an Aborigine and blast hucksters against the voice. How can anyone trust anything else that Crikey says on this issue of the voice when it sells Pascoe as an Aborigine?
Look, it's a pretty extraordinary thing, isn't it? And it was a pretty extraordinary article. I mean, if Bruce Pascoe wanted to sort of put himself up as the poster boy for the proverbial establishment, well, he succeeded. There's a whole lot of stuff in there about denigrating populism and how terrible populist politicians are. And I'm sorry, well, for last I checked, populism was for the people. I mean, what's wrong with populism? It was an extraordinary article, Andrew. But yes, they can still claim that now. I'm sorry. I think it just shows a real lack of courage, aside from anything else. There's this weird sort of Descartes-like perception on the left. It's like, you know, I think, therefore I am, and we see it with everything, obviously with gender, but certainly with race here. And as for Bruce Pascoe, I mean, you know it better than anyone, but I'll refer us to what the Aboriginal Land Council of Tasmania said to The Australian in 2020. They said it does not believe he has Indigenous ancestry and that his claims to Indigenous heritage have been rejected by Aboriginal people in 3 states. So maybe Crikey should do a little bit more backgrounding before it says these things.
I know. How can you trust them to say anything correct on The Voice if they can't even spot that this white guy in front of them isn't Aboriginal? I mean, it's just so plain to me. And what does it say? There's no test for Aboriginality for people going on The Voice. That's going to be really interesting. Can you imagine Bruce Pascoe on The Voice?